You know, for decades, we dreamed of moments like this. The clashes, the rivalries, the what-ifs. These have fueled countless arcade cabinets and console battles. And now, that dream is finally becoming a reality. From the bustling streets of Metro City to the gritty alleys of Southtown, a legend crosses over into Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves.
Welcome to the world of Street Fighter 3. Prepare for battle.
Alright, so let's take a quick look at SPG placements for Ken. First, we have Excel ratio, which is point SPG. Excel is a very common place most players would put their SPG due to having your rev blow and bonus damage available early in the rounds. You could potentially snowball with this as well, however, with Ken, it's more suitable to play a bit slower and cautious with this SPG placement due to potentially losing access to the rev blow and bonus damage output when fighting against certain high damage opponents. In other words, slower playstyles are more suitable for this SPG placement. Next, we have Flux ratio or middle SPG. Flux allows for a more balanced gameplay style, and you might not have access to the bonuses of SPG early on, but this placement will allow you to have two key factors that are very important in your gameplay. Number one, to not lose your SPG early on by high damage characters, which is essentially always a good thing, to be honest with you. And number two, your rev arts cost a little less, which allow you more room to work with in terms of damage and pressure. And this placement, in my opinion, is more suitable for passive aggressive playstyles. And then we have final ratio. Final ratio is the last SPG placement, and it's for you to potentially make comebacks with Ken. This placement can seem a bit risky due to no bonuses in early and mid game. However, late game Ken can be very problematic. Final ratio has the lowest cost rev arts, allowing you to really put pressure on your opponents and their rev gauge, and also look for more guard crush situations. This placement is more suitable for those looking for that one chance to score big damage and make that legendary comeback. In all honesty, I would highly recommend Flux Ratio SPG as it allows for a more balanced gameplay style while also giving solid SPG bonuses during the mid-game point, allowing you to essentially play a bit more freely with Ken and not have to worry about losing your SPG early on. Now, even though I'm suggesting middle SPG, feel free to mess around with any of the SPG placements and see what works best for you.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this.
Alright, let's take a look at Ken and the type of character he is in City of the Wolves. I would say Ken is more of a tricky character as opposed to a rushdown character. He plays the up close game extremely well with his high lows. His corner carry is easily some of the best in City of the Wolves. And lastly, he does come in with a mechanic straight from Street Fighter, and that is his ability to super cancel his EX moves. This makes Ken's corner carry very exceptional in this game. When you combine his ability to super cancel his EX moves, his strong up close game, and his extremely solid strike throw game, I'm not gonna lie you guys, Ken's quite the beast in City of the Wolves. Now, before we get into the normals, I want to introduce you guys my star rating system for this section. Moves will be rated 1 out of 5 stars for the level of importance of each normal listed. Also, be sure to keep in mind that as time goes on, things are always subject to change. This guide is designed to aid in building your confidence to utilize Ken in your games. Alright, so we're going to get into Ken's standing normals. So first and foremost, we have Ken's standing light punch. Standing light punch is 6 frames worth of startup. It is also +2 on block, making it one of your best normals to initiate pressure with because of the plus frames, and also has the ability to frame trap as well into your other normals or chain it to itself to open up your opponent. Alright, next up we have standing light kick. Standing light kick is pretty solid overall to end your pressure strings with, especially starting with lights. You can also use it to counter poke as well, but for general use, you want to be using it to end your block strings fairly safely. Alright, next up on our standing normals is standing heavy punch. Standing heavy punch is very solid for pressuring your opponents, as it is pretty fast at 6 frames worth of startup. It's one of your main go-to tools for frame trapping, starting from your standing light punch. So using standing light punch and standing heavy punch in conjunction on pressure is very paramount to playing Ken. Alright, last on our standing normals, standing heavy kick. This normal is a little bit different than what you're used to from Street Fighter, but serves its purpose as a solid anti-air for small jumps. It'll take a little bit to get used to this normal, however, once you get used to it, easy peasy. Alright, so now we're going to get on to Ken's crouching normals, and first up we're going to go for crouching light punch. One of the major purposes of this move is to start pressure, just like standing light punch, and or interrupt pressure, like so. It's also Ken's fastest crouching normal at 5 frames. Definitely a normal you want to get familiar with. Next up on the crouching normals, we have crouching light kick. Crouching light kick is absolutely your fastest low option, and in all honesty, one of the best options you have to catch your opponents walking away from your pressure. So be sure to keep your opponent's walk back in check with this crouching normal. Next on our crouching normals is crouching heavy punch. Crouching heavy punch, in my honest opinion, is a really strong mid-range counter poke option. The range might seem short, but it's very solid once again as a counter poke. And as with all counter poking, it can lead to big damage and potential corner carry. And last up on our crouching normals is the Shotokan classic low forward, or in this game, crouching heavy kick. Crouching heavy kick is your long range low check that is special cancelable, and as you guessed it, leads to damage and corner carry. If you've played Ken, I'm 100% confident you're used to using this normal, so this normal goes without saying. Now we're going to get into Ken's jumping normals, and we're going to start with neutral jump light punch. This button is quick and works as a really good air to air, but the range on it is a little short, so you do have to be a bit precise, but it's not something you'll be using too often in your games with Ken. And next up we have forward jump light punch. Now this move, I believe, is probably your best air to air option overall as Ken. It is because it is special cancelable into his air Tatsumaki, allowing him to do a lot more damage off of a jump air to air. Definitely one of your strongest air to air options is Ken. And here we have neutral jump light kick. This normal is pretty okay. The range on it is short, but the best thing about this move is that when your opponents are trying to walk underneath you, you can utilize this as a cross-up attack to force them to block the other way, making it really tricky to guard when trying to walk underneath Ken. Alright, next up on Ken's jump attacks is jumping light kick. Jumping light kick is your standard cross-up attack used to cross up your opponents and mess with their block while jumping. You can use this to score damage and or start up pressure. Next up here we have Ken's jumping heavy punch. Jumping heavy punch is your standard jumping heavy attack. It doesn't really have great horizontal range, but it does hit pretty good underneath Ken. So you can use this when you're up close with your jumps to initiate pressure. Neutral jump heavy kick is a pretty decent air-to-air attack to also catch small jumps. It does have pretty decent range, but it's something you won't be using too often. And last here on Ken's jumping attacks is forward jump heavy kick. This is the furthest reaching jumping normal you have with Ken that will allow you to start pressure and or start your combos, making it the choice normal when jumping at your opponents. Alright, now we're going to get into the unique moves with Ken, and we're going to start with Ken's classic target combo. Ken's target combo is exactly what you'd expect it to be from all the other games you've played him in. You'll be using it on pressure, you'll also be using it in combos. Also, keep in mind that you can also do this on whiff. Alright, so here we have Ken's overhead towards light kick. This is Ken's classic overhead. The neat thing about this overhead is that you can also link his level 1 super for extra damage, bringing back that classic third strike Ken feel for those of you that love Ken and third strike. Next up on Ken's unique normals, we have forward and heavy punch. Forward's heavy punch is essentially a command version of his standing fierce punch in Street Fighter. You'll be using this normal as both a poke and counter poke when playing against your opponents. Next normal we have here is forward and heavy kick. Forward and heavy kick is Ken's standard roundhouse in Street Fighter, but it comes with a twist in this game. In this game, this move is both super and special cancelable now. However, while it is super cancelable by any super in the game, it is only special cancelable to Ken's quick dash and his quick dash options, thus making this move much more rewarding and a lot more unique to use in City of the Wolves. Alright, now we have here Ken's standing heavy kick target combo. It's very similar to Ken's medium kick target combo in Street Fighter 6 and has some of the same weaknesses where it doesn't hit on crouch. However, in this game, the second hit is special cancelable and or super cancelable, making it a pretty solid choice when whiff punishing your opponents neutral. Alright, next up we have down forward heavy punch. This is a very easy to use anti-air option that you can use to stop your opponents from jumping. Next up we got down forward heavy kick. This is a standard low sweep attack, something you've already been used to in playing Ken in previous games. Not much to say here other than it's just a more high committal, low option to catch your opponents walking away from your pressure. So next up here on Ken's unique move is the universal dodge attack of Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. This move works great as an anti-air option, and also a mid to high crush against your opponent's mid-high attacks. Learning how to utilize the universal dodge attack is critical to playing neutral in City of the Wolves. Next up on Ken's unique moves is the universal overhead. In animation, it is his third strike overhead. I would say it's probably not as strong as his command normal overhead, but it still gets the job done in keeping your opponent honest. Next up on the unique moves is the universal auto combo. There are 3 variation enders for this, one being a knockdown ender, one being a sweep, and another one being an overhead. Each ender of the auto combo leaves you at different advantages, allowing you to mount pressure with Ken. Lastly on the unique moves is Ken's Rev Blow. The grounded version is a little slow, however it does make up for its speed with its travel distance, making it a very good choice to call out things like fireballs and your opponent's normals while playing neutral. As for Ken's Air Rev Blow, it is arguably speaking the fastest Rev Blow currently in the game and works as a great air-to-air against your opponents.
Check it out now. Yeah, I'm waiting.
Alright, so first up on Ken's special moves is the classic, the Hadouken, in which you'll be using to poke and prod at your opponents. You can use this to end your pressure strings in order to stay safe. Next up is another Shotokan classic, the Shoryuken. Ken's heavy Shoryuken is breakable and does allow for some pretty unique combos and pressure strings, so it's definitely something you're going to want to mess with in the training room. As you can see, with just so many classics here. Another Shoto classic, is the Tatsumaki Senpukaku, or just Tatsu for short. Ken's Tatsu is yet again another combo tool, allowing Ken to dish out a lot of damage in his combos. Additionally, the heavy and EX version are both breakable, allowing for once again more stylish and unique combos for Ken. The Air Tatsu actually does deserve its own section here, as all three versions of the Tatsu are all very different. The light version falls down, the heavy version is akin to that of old Street Fighter 2 with the helicopter type, and the EX version, let's just say this version's pretty crazy. Next up on the special move list is Dragon Lash. This move makes its way clearly from Street Fighter 6 and still has quite a bit of the strength that it has in Street Fighter 6 in this game, and it's a really neat move to set up pressure while playing Ken. And what would Ken be in this game without his Jinrai kicks? This move is so unique in this game that I can't really give you guys everything I want to say about this move here in this guide. I'm actually going to make a second guide detailing exactly how to utilize Jinrai kicks in this game, but for now, just know that it is just as strong as it is in Street Fighter 6 and Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Then here we have Ken's Quick Step. This move is now a actual input command instead of just pressing two kicks in Street Fighter 6, and much like Jinrai kicks, it has a lot of follow-up options behind it. I'm not going to cover all the options here. Once again, I'm going to make a separate guide detailing both the Jinrai and the Quick Dash, so be on the lookout for that soon after this video.
Check it out now. Yeah, I'm waiting.
Next, we're going to take a look at Ken's supers. First super up on deck is Shoryu Reppa. The super's pretty solid. It does a nice bit of damage, but I'll be honest with you, this isn't the super you're going to be using a lot. Either at level 1 or level 2, you won't really be using the super nearly as much. But the super you will be using on almost every other confirm is Ken's classic Shippu Jinrai Kek, or we'll just call it Jinrai for short. Jinrai level 1 is probably Ken's hallmark super of this game. You'll be using it in almost every other situation, along with his super cancels. And now Ken's final super is Hidden Gear, Shinru Shoenha. This super, let me tell you, it packs a punch. This is Ken's highest damaging super, and it is only available in SPG. Definitely one of the greatest supers you can use to cash out and deal out big damage to your opponent.
Check it out now. Yeah, I'm waiting.
Alright you guys, it's time for the strategy. What we're gonna do with Ken while we're playing him. Ken's neutral game is very versatile. However, to get the most out of Ken, it's gonna require you to get into his effective ranges, in specific close to mid ranges. Now let's take a closer look at Ken and what we can do at each of our ranges. At long range, our focus is to work our way in order to get into the close to mid ranges. We can achieve this by walking to close the gap, dashing to close the gap, and even utilizing Ken's quick step in order to get close as well. We can also zone from afar and sort of push them towards the corner with our fireball, and utilize quick step and or dashing to close the distance in neutral. At the mid range, your focus is to poke and counter poke your opponents as safely as possible in order to score knockdowns and or damage. And in order to achieve that, we're going to focus on these key normals: standing light kick, crouching heavy kick, crouching heavy punch, forward and heavy punch, and forward and heavy kick. I got a few examples here for you guys to check out so you can kind of get an idea of what you're going to do in the mid range with your normals. By utilizing these options and the RevArt's cancel system, you can mount some pretty sweet pressure and or score you nice damage and a knockdown to get your pressure started for the close range. close range, your goal is to mix up your strike and throw game, in addition to baiting either throws or reversal options from your opponents. Standing light punch is a very strong option as it does frame trap into standing heavy punch, allowing you to score damage should your opponent decide to press on your offense. Once you've conditioned your opponent to no longer press buttons on your offense, you can now start using your throws to net you more damage. Now once again, back to conditioning. Once you've conditioned them now to start taking throws, now they're potentially going to start throw teching. From here, you can utilize your small jump to punish the throw tech and deal even more damage. Now, this is all good and well should your opponent decide to actually try to retaliate here, but what if they start defending a bit more and not taking any of your baits? What do you do then? Don't forget that you do have your overhead options you can use to keep your opponents honest. Be sure to scout your opponent's defensive habits and take advantage when running offense up close with Ken. Now that your ground game is solid, you've got to take a look at the anti-airs. Ken is actually loaded with some great anti-air options at your disposal. Let's take a look at what Ken has to offer. First off, we have Fatal Fury's universal high dodge attack. Next, we have down forward heavy punch. And what would Ken be without the classic dragon punch? Now in this game, you also can break the heavy dragon punch to dish out more damage. From here, you also have access to another more situational anti-air. Jumping forward light punch, comboed into heavy tatsu, is really great for checking your opponents without using any meter. Be mindful and be sure to use your best judgment when picking your anti-air options. In summary, if you're looking for a tricky character with a little bit of well-rounded play and some of the best corner carry in all of Fatal Fury, Ken might just be for you in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. If you like content like this, please be sure to leave a like and comment in the comment section below.